Now to the banking sector, the Ghana Association of Bankers is asking the Interior Ministry to fast-track its special clearance, which will allow banks to import armored vehicles to aid the transportation of cash. The appeal comes in the wake of the recent bullion van robbery incident at the industrial area here in the Greater Accra region. The police service, in a release to the press earlier today, gave assurances that it has intensified efforts to get the perpetrators arrested to face justice. My colleague Manuel Kranting was at the scene and now reports.
At this intersection, which leads, if you like, connect the Kwame Nkrumah interchange all the way through La Paz. This gentleman who I've been speaking to off camera has been sharing with me, indeed, what they saw and how they were gripped by fear as the action was happening. He tells me that 4 people were on motorbikes, 2 motorbikes, just as the other incidents that we've seen with bullion van armed robberies in the country. He we're told, is an operator of one of these machines. My boss, Pacho Bibia Boko. We are forklift operator. Pacho. And also now Wahana BBSC. Now Wahana BBSC. Okay, just catch me. Then Kasane, no who say motorbikes, say Diomechi, and then Kasane see. And we are 2.5 to 2.10. It's a pattern Asiana who say. Bibi a blasty, Tinia Casa be a cabin and a table a blasty. Tia 2-3. Tinia sorry say a beche at the Codia. So multi sound no say Bibi a plastic po by neck as a can and a tapa. Tia a 2 Omi minu and Timoto minus Bako so. Tinipa 4. Ti Bako Fanny say. No status on fire, sir, and Timanim pay and about could be you need to free in the bag. When him just 10 meters. Okay. No, you need to. No, po fire can is our fire the bank. Okay, tell you to know fire can. A bullion van, no, a white one, one company be. Of fire, sir, and fire, or boy more. No, who said no, said Omiano, and ye in tobacco fire, and cocoa fire driver. No, now driver no move can slow down a crowd, many happy. To happen to move car no corner him. No shoot to driving mirror until driving mirror pen a pie. Until now police back could be war other bank be war. I know who's somewhere no. I know no so fire. To a fire is no who's no. Said the corner no de no 10 hona away bus. Into almost 10 no yin helmet no. I know fire or to the 20 train so I say. I know fire so to me no Daniel Mona poa omokoe. Is it Nipa me and Sebi Pry and I'm more prior to no a boca no na at 10 a boca no at 10 tobacco no jina here na born cotodre and about console born and I have say na ba console born a con. I am on crop for money moti here. Bako obey to any day and about console or swanny ma inside her say. Team you know the almost swanny ma. So he's just been explaining to me in Chi that 2 motorbikes approached the bullion van with 2 people sitting on each of the motorbikes. That's 4 people. Now they got off the motorbikes, fired several shots into the bullion van, and we're told that this bullion van is actually armored, and so the bullets could not penetrate the van. And when they realized that they actually intended, according to him, intended to fire the shots into the windscreen and get at the driver, but it took the intervention of a police officer, as he's just telling us, who was on duty at a bank just close by to return fire. That is indeed, according to him, what warded off the robbers who had already shot into the crowd, injuring 3 people in the process.
Na omo candidate da form
bia de da fam wa ha
ye de omo ya partner sin no bia da form granite machine ba ko achi wa say ti omo ye na no omo ko no moto no so na enko speed nti omo ko do da ho no no omo de etu no hye omo bag no back na omo ko boko nti omo ko na me ko catch police ni say cartridges ni bi gugu form ha say nti omo say no see no kra ne de fire ye na gu ho no nti no mama mo bia ansesa cartridges no na omo beba. Si omo ba ya na me direct police no so omo ko no mo ko hu police no ho no na omo ko hu no nti na no dey see no and say nka ni ye nyina ebe wu ha because na tam omo ye no come about 12 o'clock and call nipa bebrebe because that time na companies no mama break go inside. Can you say na time mama break na okay nipa bebrebe.
So let me just speak to a few of the other people here. But also now we have time adenisi. Now we have.
The under the member meti but ma mejuma. Di ha ma mejuma.
How by juma?
Da bi me ba haba na me ni ha.
Now we ni ha no. Okay, let me speak to this gentleman. Now they are ha.
Nra na yeti ekire ha sei. Ntita me na ye nyina ti pepepe no bi ata ti so ye den. Odwane. Nti ye nyina ye warte eso bi abepe be bia ye den afa. Nti etuo ne de edi echi saa kodu sandboard na e wo ha na se. Nti amani
na no mo fire na edi
fire no. So oto a epem ka na asleep nti sleep ya na ye den. Na epeti nti didi echi saa de ye den. E kodu sandboard na se wo no. Nti ọ na-enwu sị ọmụ obi edwa na enyina ye di obi apebe bia ye den afa nti at once na na-enwu sị police no wa ha sị no no so dremika ebeta na eyi ne cho no sa start ye den fire bandura bulamba ne de police ni no timi ni so ene driver ni do mu bia ni obi edo no nti sanya police ni we dan kam ye show sɛ nka bi o medi e kire saa ye den akoni bo mu police ni na mo ye den o mo tan ne back ndura
no ne ha no mo nye easy kra
ndura na ha ne de ndura na Afghanistan no ko na bomb na ekoso bullet na ekoso ande na no wo hye meja ben ne yehu bi de nti ye nyina obi apebe bia ye den apre ne nkwa ba nyame ne da na asese ndura de we koye na nya black time de a nka ndura nka nipa be wu ha no nka nya nipa kotoa
I say ma we nya ade we etaisi wo ha no mo
me dia me ba ha de me hu se bi esi wo ha pe this the first time me hu se bia ye den e bi esi e wa ha sei
mo amote ha no mo sa no mo den na mo back because enye bullion van dia enye armored bullion van na mo kra na anka tuo no ram mu
one dia say the way here no omo to na nka ene na maka nipa mi inside the nipa na come kra ya which say omo we inside na ka nipa mi no na ka obi so ba akọ ye dewa ti nipa na ka no wa kra na man bi dina ha na ono na no sesa roba ma oto no ho kra to man no so ama moja nyina ye man na tade mu 100
Weka se bank for no mo use bullion van na eton remu no bi no
amu nyina use a eye ba de mesa ne nkra de man penifo ne se esoro wofo no ye pam cho mu nsimbla mehwe fomfo no na edidi jawe ene mu na na ede ene mu na ne nam ekom di nipa ne nko ade a ono to de kwan bi o fa so no so be de obedidi no ono so be fa so be de obedidi nti omo wa wasoro no mu nsimfo platform na ye so ye wa ha no mo ma ebi ne yeso ye nya den na ye ndi na wo soro na wedi no wa ye peche na yeso esi ya na sa kom di nipa ne nko ade a ono so kwan bi ato ni be fa so kwan nye nipa ne menya so ta ne peche adwuma ye so ye den oye no bo ono so kom de no ono so preko ama fa no so be den obedidi nti esoro wafo no ono so mu nsim platform no mecho ye fomfo no
na etire hanom na na nkofo eton eduane so he's just been telling me of course describing the situation that happened yesterday and also adding that but for the bullion van indeed the casualties would have been more than expected indeed we're told that this madam na o hana adeni si ana na eduane nasa
oh na me te ha didi
na wo de udidi
ona me didi na me buy so the inside nti ayeti a
bucket wa
yeti ade na efi say knockout na me kwa me ka say na knockout be ni nti e wa na nti say ade de pe bebre nti o me yesa na obi adwane nti me ko inside for me ba ne say me adwane nti e no na me hu say ade na e pete ba ha nyina
de na e pete
bullet no
na pete say nsu eto
ko ni ba ko to ha no
anyway so just showing me there's the cartridge really
eto inside or when na we inside or nti oni timi dwane pie ye no lucky ka ebeka no nti me so na me ni choice bia le me se me cheko
na won so wa ha enno atime ade ni si
me enno na ma point me park me ne man diko si ho nti na me baba na guy bi nsisa wo me nche nti obeje ye na me ni gina ho ya kasa to twa kwan ni mu na brother ba ko so ba wo manim nti me gina ne na ebo nkomo na abibi tuye am se tu bo fom nti ebubo ne blast ne ba ko be bo me nan
bi bo
na me se ka be na ne tire apaya eyi abubo abebo me no te no bi ka se hwan Roberts ti me tani me se do mu ki tu ni gina so na nya sem
akuma tuye
makuma de tuye agasa nti papa na bra na me fi ni nche onu ba se ni kame na me gina hwan ka we ni be bo me It's one about brand and the America the fan qua.
Now to me to America.
You to America pa. You go American kasa. Nyame nko we die me hu bi da. How much a man for sika ba tuo die. Ba tuo we die anu ye den.
Ade esi a comfort gen a man for sika.
Ade a man for sika pa. Omu hwim any bag ba tuo say die. Ben ra de I am surprised.
Na bo ha say no. Etuo pa no nti sleeping one na abo ho no. Nti senka eye normal car bi a nka betete no. Ti na no. No de
ene mu gina ha ni na che se ka okra na wo she tire bo a se sa be bo apete
eno no ne case ani ewom sese because eno no se de ko bae no obi a ye kekra ba je se me de na se na Nyankopon do because se de na me ben no na me ben ne pa na nim no be yi tuo se na o shoot kan sa nti oya enfa no na odane no ho na we so be gina ni se na we be ni helmet no manim oyi helmet ni se na started the tuo ni kire so ha se etu am de bae na AK magazine ye 22 no makeka bom no mabaneji magazine ye 2 bia ye 2 no mabaneji say no e she 2 back.
Well, obviously a very disturbing scene there, but the latest incident actually questions an earlier directive given by the same Ghana Police Service in June last year, directing all banks to provide fortified vehicles by the end of 2021, but that seems not to be working. In fact, the police service earlier today indicated in their statement that they are going after the perpetrators to ensure that they face justice. But there's a need for us to expand this conversation and look at issues surrounding bullion van security and how the banking sector is going to adjust themselves to that. In fact, they've been asking for clearance from the Interior Ministry to deal with all of these issues. Fortunately, we've been joined by Dr. Adam Bona, who is a security analyst, understands quite a lot into these matters. So thank you, sir, for joining us, and such a pleasure for having you on the pulse. So very disturbing scenes we have there, obviously endangering public safety. How long should this be going on? And why are we not, in fact, putting an end, from your perspective and from your reading into this, why are we not able to put an end to this consistent attack on bullion vans across the country?
Well, good afternoon to your viewers. I think it has to do with policy, framework. Before, we started seeing increasing number of attacks on cash and transit vans. It wasn't that way. Movement of money was as, we didn't have that increase. But unfortunately, it looks like the numbers started going up probably in the last decade. And therefore, probably we should have put in the legal framework, to ensure that importing these bullion vans and storing them and using them was done according to a certain regulation. That we don't have. And that is what is actually delaying what do you call it, the importation, bringing in. Because these bullion vans, the armored plated bullion vans, in simple security terminologies, we call them war materials. You can actually use this equipment or these vehicles to fight any war, to go into any war, and you could win. And therefore, if the floodgate is opened for any Tom, Dick, and Harry to bring them in, and then I will tell you that anyone who wants to topple the government of the day will do that easily, because assuming you have 10,000 bullion vans, armored-plated bullion vans brought into the country, like you said, they fired at the bullion vans and the bullets were deflected or didn't penetrate. It means that, and these are, AK-47, according to bystanders, those who were there. If you know the power of AK-47, shot at point-blank range, closely, and the impact, the damage it can cause, and it didn't go through. It tells you that if you had a number of these bullion vans in the hand of the wrong people, chances are that we'll wake up one day and they've taken over.
So you are even providing a very great insight into this. Initially, many of us were going with what the Bankers Association was telling us, that there was a delayed clearance for the importation of bullion vans, the fortified vehicles into the country. But you're giving a security dynamics to this.
Yes.
So you're indirectly supporting the Interior Ministry for delaying the process? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not supporting. What I'm saying is that in as much as we want to ensure that cash in transit and those who are transiting them are safe and the general public is safe, let's hasten slowly. Let's not quickly say, oh, we need them.
We need the vans. So you feel the vans will not entirely solve the problem?
It could rather, if we don't put in the...
But this was a recommendation coming through from the Ghana Police Service itself in June last year when it directed the banks to get fortified vehicles. That was the term they used, fortified vehicles, or else they were not going to provide security.
Ignore that directive by the Ghana Police Service back then. Because you just can't say people should bring, armored-plated armored vehicles when you don't have a regulatory framework in place. If they bring them in, they could topple any civilian administration, even a military administration. And so what I am saying is that I support the fact that the process should, they should quicken up. The Ministry of the Interior should quicken the process, work on it quickly and get it done. But we shouldn't be calling for everyone to bring them in when we don't have, at the moment, if you bring them in, where do you keep them? For instance, we have Montran. Montran, we have, I think it's one of the few companies that have them. Right. They have a secured location where these are kept. Because if these armored, you can see from the eyewitness account, the escort in the vehicle, the Montran staff, the driver, and all the people who had the money with them in the armored vehicle were not hurt. Right. Assuming a bad person is in possession of this vehicle, you could enter any of these banks in this country, steal from the bank, and run off and nobody can stop you. And so mine is that, yes, the Association of Bankers have a legitimate concern. All of us have a legitimate concern. Now let's get the Ministry of the Interior, to quicken the process, ensure that they put in all the measures. But as far as I'm concerned, if they don't put in the right measures and these things, the floodgate is open. Blessed. We are going to...
Interesting perspective there. But how then do we deal with this problem? Because we obviously have a problem at hand. This is not the first time we are recording this incident. The last one was very gory. In fact, a police officer was shot in the process. Thanks being to the new vehicle or fortified vehicle that the bank was using, another police officer would have been shot. So what's the strategy? What's the effective way of dealing or putting an end to this?
I think the effective way of dealing with the short, medium, long term is to get the legal framework, because people have imported some into the country and they are at the port. They cannot clear them. So let's get the legal framework put together quickly so that those who legitimately want to bring them can bring them. Then moving forward, whilst that process is ongoing, intel, I always talk about intelligence, because you have too many firearms in the hands of wrong people. And once you have too many firearms in the hands of wrong people, then you are going to have, these incidents like this. Right. And so mine is that the current police administration is doing very well. So you can see in the past, the police officer who was guarding that bank would have hit himself. But this time around, he was confident enough to come out and also start showing. In the past, they won't come out. He will tell you, my area of jurisdiction is supposed to be at the bank. So he won't come out. Right. But now he did. Right. And before probably coming here, I spoke to the police administration, and the promise and what they said was that they are on the heels of these people. They are going to get them arrested. And I believe that they would get them arrested. And they are currently doing very well, and so it looks like violent crimes are dropping. But mine is that this issue of bullion vans should be handled carefully. The Association of bankers or something should hasten slowly, because in as much as they want to carry customers' money, we don't want them bringing in these armored-plated vehicles, and if we are not careful, tomorrow we wake up and we are told that...
Let's try and reconcile the position now. In fact, you're referring to the police statement. You've spoken to the leadership of the Ghana Police Service. They are assuring that, yes, we'll deal with this matter. But at the tail end of the statement they issued, there was an indication clearly that the IGP was still calling on banks to go ahead and get fortified vehicles. So which means that the police service is not backing down on that stern belief that going in for armored vehicles will be the best way of solving this problem.
Which is true, yes. They shouldn't back down. But mine is that the stakeholders, should come together quickly, because I know the draft policy document is ready. I mean, I'm privy to a draft policy document that will see to the importation, storage, because, you know, where you are bringing them from, where you store them, and how you use them is very important. And who is going to use them? And so I think they've been working around the clock, and the police have their rep on, you know, in fact, this is going to be actually, I think it's going to be managed by the Ghana police, because they are the foremost security institution for internal security. So this is going to be managed by them when it becomes a law. But I would say that yes, the Interior Ministry should quickly get this done, but there shouldn't be excessive pressure. Rather, what can we do as of today? Because I can see, I don't support the idea of seeing 8, full-geared military officers, military officers, following some 20,000 in some pickup.
Right.
You want a situation where you have intelligence-led cash in transit business, so that the bad guy is arrested at home before he comes to attack. Because at the end of the day, even if the law is passed and they bring them in South Africa, I think this is common, but still they manage to break through and steal.
Right.
So mine is that we need to find a middle ground. The middle ground would be that the Ministry of Interior, the police, and all the stakeholders should quickly, quicken up the process of getting this thing done.
And I guess it's time now for us also to look at the concerns about security generally within the country. Your verdict is that crime appears to be on the decline. But what's staggering is that just this week, this is not the only robbery case we've heard of. There was one on the Kumasi highway stretch. And the very shocking revelations we are getting out of that is that some eyewitnesses tell us that the criminals confess to the economic hardship within the system as the reason or the factor for which they are going after people, robbing them and denying them of their properties. What's your take on the economic situation that we have now and your predictions on what it will mean for Ghana's security?
Obviously, we are all impacted by the heavy-handedness, we are all faced with when it comes to the economic situation. Buying fuel, I think is now...
It's gone up.
It's gone up.
We're breaking the
You get it.
Right.
And so obviously, once you begin, if you see what is going on in Eastern Europe, the Russians and the rest, all these things would affect us. Obviously, we've had COVID and all that. That shouldn't be an excuse. And so usually when you see a situation like this, naturally, crime rates will go up. But fortunately,
So you're predicting that crime rates, the rates may go up, given the current economic situation?
It would have gone up if not for the current police administration. Just, I think, last week, 4 armed robbers were shot in the Buno area, one of the Buno regions. Four of them. I think the police haven't put out yet. And so now they are catching them. If you see the bad guys in the Nima, Bruhaha, in the past these guys would have just walked away. But the Bom Bom and Kumoji, all of these people have been arrested. And so mine is that, yes, we are going to see some crimes, but generally because of the way the police is now operating, catching them before they come out to strike, it's going to be very difficult for them to come out openly to do this. In the past, you are traveling up north and you would face probably 10, 15 highway robberies. Now the numbers are coming down. And so mine is that the Minister of Finance, he should see to it that he shouldn't wait for e-levy, because he is saying that he needs money to do ABCD. Criminals will not be waiting for you to resource or pass e-levy before they strike. And citizens, when we come under attack, obviously we would complain. So mine is that even if it is left with his last penny, he should resource the Ghana Police Service and the other security agencies. Because then if he doesn't do it and is waiting for e-levy, the more he waits for e-levy and the more the police and the other agencies are not resourced, then chances are that you will call me in here again and say, but you said crimes are not going to go up. But the truth is that crimes are going up. Because if the police is not resourced, then we are all going to be impacted. It used to be 4 or 5 violent crimes in Accra about 2-3 years ago.
Right.
Now it's all come down. You hardly would hear you know, daylight robberies like the recent one, even though I don't think it's going to go away. It doesn't matter what. It's not going to go away. But I think that there's been significant improvement.
You seem to be expressing so much confidence in the Inspector General of Police and also the administration by extension. What more do they need to do to consolidate this new approach, this new police service that we're seeing?
I think what they need to do, they need a lot more human resource. Because whatever the case is, you might have the best of equipment. If the human resource, if you are incapacitated in some areas, then you have a challenge. They were given our 5,000 quota, you know, to recruit. I think they are almost done with that. Some of us are advocating that the numbers should go up to about 10,000. That way, the shortfall, because whether you like it or not, some of them will die in the line of duty, some will retire, some will resign, and some will be fired. And so every year they have plus, minus 1,200 or so living. What do we do? So I think that the recruitment, they should look at it. Apart from that training, if you look at what happened in Tamale, Lamashegu incident,
yes, the palace
it speaks
incident.
to training. Because the police officer who was trigger happy, police officers, apart from probably the American police, whose first line of whatever they are thinking is usually in their gun and not to usually. But police officers usually are trained not to pull the trigger first. Under extreme provocation, right, they are not supposed to pull the trigger. But you look at what happened in Tamale, these were trigger-happy police officers, ill-trained, and so training and retraining. And apart from that, welfare. Some of us have been advocating for officers' welfare. A police officer is deployed, no proper accommodation. Right. If you don't give them proper accommodation, I mean, the guy is distraught. You know, some time ago, I think 2020, 2021, suicide among police officers started going rising. Now, because now confidence level, their confidence level is going up. And so, as far as I'm concerned, these are some of the things, apart from probably call them, they themselves, their attitude, because bribery and corruption is still very high among police officers. Right. Because if you stop me and take 5 cities from me, I'm not going to respect you. Right. I would want you to stop me and say, I've broken the law, you caution me, and the next time when you get me, you prosecute me before the law court.
How about the issue of outstanding cases which the Ghana Police Service is yet to resolve, very high-profile killings that has been on the hands of the IGP? The concern is that he needs to solve the puzzle. That will engender some level of confidence within the Ghana Police Service. What do you think the IGP should be doing at this point?
Well, what I think the IGP should be doing, which I think they have been doing in the last few months, has to do with improving upon informants' payouts. Because the more informants believe that if I bring you information, I get something and you protect me, the more they come to you with a lot of intel. Right. And I think they so far, I equally work with some of the informants. Right. So far, they give tips and they get the little they have to get, which is good. Apart from that, if you look at the issue of J.B. Dankwa, Ahmed Swale, right, you can, the lists, you know, goes on and on. Usually, when officers who are handling this case are transferred or are taken off the case, it sometimes stifles whatever investigations whoever might have started. And so mine is that they would have to bring some of these officers who have started or who started them, unless of course they have a belief that that officer is incompetent. Right. But if there was somebody who was competent enough and was handling it, bring the person back. Cold case, if you go to other places like Britain, like America, you have a cold case, you know, officers. Right. Their job is to look into cases that took place 50 years ago.
So many years ago, right.
We should have something like that. And so probably if the IG and his people are listening, if we don't have a cold case desk, let's have them, resource them well, pick intel from among the people, because when a crime is committed, those who commit the crime are usually living amongst people. Somebody will know something, but they should believe that when they give that information, you know, they will be protected and they are going to be probably rewarded. And so for me, yes, I will go with the IGP should, you know, get some of these cases resolved.
Reactivated. Right.
I mean, not. Yeah, I think they've been. Some of them are in court. You know, some of them are dragging, and I don't know why they are dragging. Is it that the evidence is not there? So I think that they should quickly get, you know, finish them, bring finality to them so that probably the citizens would be a bit more confident in the police. And I'm saying I am confident in the current police administration because myself and my team at the Institute of Security Safety Policy Research, we are conducting, you know, police performance index survey amongst police officers. It's a novelty. Usually, these are people, if you want to bring Kwesi Fori into your studio, I'm sure you know the wahala you go through.
Right.
So we are conducting a survey to see how they themselves feel.
Right.
And the responses we are getting now looks refreshing, that it looks like they, you know...
So they are beginning to gain more confidence,
yes,
self-confidence.
Exactly.
Getting more assured that they can go out there and deal.
And you can see what happened in the Western region,
right,
where the Western region
was able to
accosted the chairman of the Security Council in the area, and he said, well, you can't do me anything. In the past, he would call back because he knows he will transfer you to entry. You can't do jack. And so this speaks to their own self-confidence and belief that probably now if I do it, no one is going to come after me. And you can see high-profile people have been locked up, and
so from your initial findings, political interference is no longer a case for the police service?
It's still there. It's still there. I can tell you in confidence, I can tell you that some of these high-profile people who were picked up and locked up, if you see the number of calls that would come in to the police administration, I mean, you saw it. I mean, where people started blaming the IGP and insulting and saying, you see, all these things are political interference, isn't it? Allow the police to do their professional work. You know what? If the police don't resolve these things, the sanity, don't clean up the mess, 2024 is going to be bloody.
That's your prediction?
That's my prediction. But it is good that both NDC and MPP are getting checked by the current police administration. So that if you misbehave, this is 2022, they get you arrested, lock you up. If they take you to court and you are remanded, the heavens will not break loose. Hell will not come down. And so mine is that the media, all of us should ensure that when the police get it wrong, like they did in La Meshigu and other places, we tell them in the face. But let's not allow, because as for political interference, the Constitution makes it possible for, you know, these things to happen.
Right.
But if you have a leader or a leadership that says, well, if you guys want to interfere, I'll resign, then chances are that you stay away and let them do their way. So foreign, political interference is still there, I must confess.
Certainly we'll keep our eyes on this, but I'm grateful that you've been able to join us, Dr. Adam Bona there, with his perspectives on the recent happenings. We'll be taking you shortly to Parliament because there are tensions between the Speaker, Alban Kingsford Bagbin, and his Deputy, Joseph Osei-Owusu, with some strong words coming through from the Speaker of Parliament. We'll take you there shortly. Stay with us.
The first Deputy Speaker has contended, and rightfully so, on several occasions, that he is not the Speaker.